Hello everybody, Stephen D Comics here with something a little bit different today, as I've got a bit of an update I want to share with all y'all. So just in case you're not already aware, I had been previously working on a parody comic series called SD Comics A Breath of Fresh Air, a retrospective parody based on my playthrough of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's been kind of my main parody webcomic that I'd been working on for most of my time in content creation. It's nothing amazing, but it's something I had fun working on, and I can now finally say, after 6 years and 800 comics, which, by God, those are all just ridiculous numbers to me, I am now finally finished with this series. It's taken so much more time and energy than I had originally thought, and a part of that's kind of my own fault with how I've organized some of my projects. Yeah, it's nothing really major or groundbreaking or anything, I'm well aware, but it's still something that I've dedicated a huge chunk of time towards, and out of all of the different comic projects that I've started, mostly personal, I've never actually seen any of them through to the end until now. Like, this is the first major comic project I finished, so it's a big deal to me. I feel really proud to finally have a project that I've spent so much time and energy on finally finished. I can move on to the next major chapter in my content creation career, which of course leads to the next big question: what's next? The obvious answer is, of course, my original webcomic, That Shield Kid, which I started working on in the middle of A Breath of Fresh Air sooner than I probably should have, all things considered. I'm still committed to working on this. Although, with other things I have in mind, I'm gonna get back to this a little later than I had originally expected, but the ETA on when the next chapter will start posting on my socials should be sometime around late fall, early winter, and I do plan on doing 2 chapters in a row. Maybe 3, but I'm currently not sure which of my ideas I'll do for chapter 7, but I'd like to at least get a couple of chapters like in a row back to back to show that I'm not slacking too much on this, or I'm not trying to slack too much on this. I also have some character portraits that I've been just putting together just to bring people up to speed on the cast and creatures of That Shield Kid, and to help promote my comics, because as I've said before, I am terrible, just really bad at promoting my stuff. So it'll be an excuse to do some of that. And there's my answer for comics in general, or for my original series, but what about parodies? Because for the past 8 total years of making webcomics, I've focused almost primarily on parodies. So what's next in that department? Well, I've had thoughts. I've certainly had thoughts. And I figured the best thing I can really do is share my thought process on where I might go with parodies. First and foremost, I have already said it on my socials, on streams, but the obvious first question would be if I'm going to do a sequel series of A Breath of Fresh Air based on my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom. And the answer to that is, once again, a resounding no. Part of the whole reason why I decided to stream Tears of the Kingdom, aside from the fact that that's the only time I have for playing games anymore, it is also because I could give a way to crack jokes or share my experience of the game with other people, without having to dedicate another huge chunk of my life to making a ridiculously long comic series about it. You can literally watch all of the VODs of my streams on YouTube, so just do that. Or maybe highlights, if I ever have the time to make more of those. I am not doing any more Zelda. I'm not doing any more Zelda comics anytime soon. I think I've spent enough of my time on talking about my second favorite Zelda game. I think I'm good. I play other video games, so I think, yeah, I'm good to move on. And one idea that I actually had that I think I that I would like to explore at some point in time. As I mentioned before, I've started other comic series before, back in high school. I actually like the idea of going back and rebooting or trying again with some of them. And I have two big ones that I feel really good about. My first idea is a parody based on the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and it would literally just be a parody of the main story of Red and Blue Rescue Team, and even references to stuff like the Genji's Rescue Team manga or the Team Go-Getters OVA. The main trio of Pokemon characters that I picked as the pro tags reference both of those. I actually have two Pokemon parody ideas that I came up with in high school. The first one was actually a dedicated Gen 1 parody, or more like Fire Red and Leaf Green parody, that I was originally committed to working on or rebooting after A Breath of Fresh Air, but I decided against it purely because, like, Gen 1's kinda done to death. Everyone has gone back to Gen 1 either in official capacity or in regards to parodies or jokes, and it's like, what jokes could I possibly make that haven't already been done before? Whereas with Mystery Dungeon, at least I personally haven't seen a whole lot of parodies done of that, and I think there's decent potential. And I just really like the concept of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I loved it as a kid, just being able to play as Pokemon, and I'd like to do that. But I think the biggest thing that's kind of holding me back on this one is that I'm not as passionate about it as some of my other ideas. Like, I really liked Zelda, and I really liked Breath of the Wild, so I felt really passionate about spending so much time doing a parody on that. Whereas at the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, it's not... Like, I feel good about my ideas about it and making a parody of it, but I don't know if I'm at a point where I feel like I want to dedicate as much time to this as I did with Zelda. Maybe in the future when I have a little more time, but I think I would rather use my time for something that I feel a little more strongly about. Which brings me to my second idea, which is a parody based off of Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. More so than Zelda, I love Kingdom Hearts, and I especially love the plot line of 358 Days Over 2, despite the gameplay. Like, Roxas is my favorite Kingdom Hearts character, and I love just the whole Sea Salt trio, and I love that whole storyline. And I really like the idea of just doing a comedic exploration of Roxas' story in Kingdom Hearts. Originally, it was just going to be a parody of 358 Days Over 2, just strictly about Roxas' story, but I think it's a combination of how Kingdom Hearts 3 tied up Roxas' story, along with the fact that a good chunk of Organization 13 members die early in 358 Days Over 2, is that I actually really like the idea of doing a broader Organization 13 parody and just exploring all of the characters, all of the jokes I can make with all of the members. But that's kind of where my biggest problem with trying to do this parody series, at least now, stems from, is that I'm not really sure the best angle to go about it, because I want to make jokes about all of the Organization members, but I also really want to just do a parody of Roxas' story and just explore that. So I know I could figure out a way to do both, but I'm not really sure the best way to go about it, and I feel like that's just going to take a lot of time and energy that I don't think I really have currently. So as much as I really, really want to try and do an Organization 13 parody comic series, I think maybe I should just let it stew a little bit longer. Although, just like with kind of similar to that Shield kid, I'm thinking of doing a bunch of Organization 13 character portraits and posting those on my socials, just because I have a Kingdom Hearts itch I really need to scratch, and I could just post funny blurbs along with the art, so there's that. And so the question there is, what else could I do? Any other parodies that I want to do or thinking about doing? And well, the answer to that is no, surprisingly. So I'm not really sure what I want to really do with parodies. at this point going forward. Like, I have other ideas that I've been working on that I'm more certain of, and that I feel like would be better to focus on for the time being. And I don't think doing more parodies or trying to make time for parodies is that smart of an idea. So I'm making the difficult decision of not outright canceling or giving up working on parodies, but I'm just putting it on hold for some time, for the foreseeable future. But as I said, I have ideas related to VTubing, or my VTuber model, that I want to explore, that I'm thinking I want to mess around with. And I'm still keeping some things under wraps, purely because I do have my 1-year streaming anniversary coming up in a few months, and I want to leave a surprise or two for that. But I have something that I've teased or have talked about, at least on Twitter, that I feel like would be a fun thing to do. So I don't really use this break screen very often when I stream, but I originally just kind of put it together just for an obvious let's all go to the lobby bit. But as time wore on, I actually really liked these little snack food characters that I drew. I kind of thought maybe it'd be fun to do something with that. Like, there are VTubers that have mascots and all that, so I decided to say screw it, and I'm making them official mascots for Stephen D Comics, dubbed the Snack Boys. I was originally going to go with Snack Pack, but there's already a company that has that name, so this'll have to do. Figure I'll just make these little guys mascots and, I don't know, do something with them. Maybe make a new comic series based off of them to tie into my VTuber. Maybe I'll figure out other miscellaneous videos, or maybe throw them into shorts or something. I don't really know yet, but I figured it'd be something to mess around with. Currently, I only have 3, but I gave them all fun little names and little personality quirks about them. And I have a whole lot of other snack food ideas to make little characters off of that I think I'll share in time. I'll post these on my socials after I post this video. I'm going to be making a bunch more and sharing those over time. Still figuring out like the specific aspects about them for my VTuber lore, but at this point you can probably just think of them as like Sausage Party characters, except with less drugs and with better writing. I'm also taking this opportunity to experiment with an art tag. So I figure I'll make a hashtag for them, Snack Boys, that I was thinking I could use as a general art tag, or maybe like a fan art tag for my VTuber, because that's something that most VTubers have, but I have never been able to figure out what I could do for an art tag. I'm actually even contemplating just using my comic tag, SD Comics, or even for fan art, but I'm not really sure what the best idea is, so I might just stew on that a little bit longer, take a bit more time to think about it, but that's just my general thought process at this point. But since I'm doing mascot characters, does that mean I'm going to actually try with a proper lore video? Maybe. Maybe not. I might have something in the works. Maybe I don't. Maybe it could be something a bit different from what other VTubers do that I think would be fun, just for the heck of it. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. And as I mentioned before, I do have an anniversary coming up, so I might do something. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All in all, it's basically just me giving myself way too many ideas, even though I have so little time to actually do any of it. I really gotta ask why I do this stuff to myself. But that is all that'll be going down with SD Comics and Stephen D Comics in the immediate future. Thank you all for taking the time to watch this, and especially thank you for taking the time to read my comics, to check out my art, watch my streams or videos or what have you. Taking even the slightest amount of time to check any of my stuff out means so much to me. But that'll do it for me. Be sure to stick around for other streams, shorts that I got on YouTube, and other comics and drawing I'll post on my socials. And keep an eye out for my 1-year anniversary in November. I got something real special planned for you. And until next time, bye-bye.